Hello, my friend. It's Amy Thomson, the Sun Tarot, and we are going to be doing a reading. It's all based around money, okay? So it's money and the law of attraction. We're going to use those cards, and I'm going to pull some other cards for you, and we will see what we got. So general reading. Again, take what resonates and leave the rest, because this reading is done for multiple people. But if you were here, if you were intuitively led to this, or if something in the thumbnail or the picture or even in the title resonated with you, then chances are there's something here for you, okay? So let's just pull a few cards, see where we're starting. And I'm actually going to be pulling a different card from a different deck that's going to give us the general theme for this reading. It is around money, yes, but there's something else. And that is it. Okay, so right away, here's what we got. We got the sacral chakra in inverse, okay? The sacral chakra is the creative center. It's above your root, okay? I don't know if you know anything about the chakra system, but basically it's just a little bit below your belly button. It would be the creative center. Think about like the womb on a woman, for example. But it's in that area, right, where your creativity energetically is stored, and it is in inverse. So I'm going to read this, and then we're going to look at the money around it and the cards that came up for that, because there is a correlation between your alignment with yourself and your energy, as well as your creativity, and with the money that you receive or the way you manage money. All of it is related, okay? So, sacral chakra. The frequency of the sacral chakra, the orange flower of life, supports our ability to flow with our desires and stimulates our creative power to manifest success and abundance in our lives. So you may actually have some kind of blockage in your creative flow and allowing yourself to really be able to fulfill your desires, okay? So we'll come back to that. The cards that you got, all of them, we got 3 of them in inverse and 1 upright, okay? So you got these ones, and I'll tell you what those are in a second. And then you also got this one here upright at the bottom. Okay, so you got, rather than complaining, I will focus on positive aspects in inverse. And then you also got, what if everything was always working out for me in inverse. You got, I can't tell stories of shortage and experience abundance in inverse. And upright, you got, I am the creator of my own life experience. So this reading here, there's an element of standing in your own power, standing in your own truth, and recognizing that you're the creator of your experience. And I get that you get that already. Like, you know that you have the ability to step into your life, make things happen, and I already get that you know on a vibrational level that you are, like, you kind of can already tell. It's like when you're in alignment with yourself that things start to flow a lot more, right? So yeah, and it's like, I can tell you're somebody who really okay, the words that are coming is eye for detail, but I don't necessarily mean like you're a detail-oriented person, but it's like, you know, some of the things that you want and you're able to visualize it in detail. Okay, if you were to stop for a second and think about one thing that you wanted and you were able to just focus on it, it would start to fill in the gaps, and you would have more and more enjoyment in the experience that you're creating. So you have the ability to visualize, and you're actually fairly good at it. And this is going to come into play, right? So the challenge comes in when you don't actually believe that everything's going to work out in your favor. You may be basing what is possible based on the world around you and what you see right now. But the thing with energy, and the thing with how everything really works and manifests, is you've got to see it in your mind and believe it to be able to realize it. Like the more conviction you have, and the more certainty that you have, and the more feelings that are connected with what it is you're out to achieve, the easier it is to achieve it. And the more likely you are to be able to jump on the opportunities, or even recognize the opportunities when they present themselves. Okay? Because the world right now is like, there's basically everything exists at the same time. Okay? And if you think about driving down the street and you play a game and you're saying, okay, well, let's look at the red cars. And you start to count all the red cars. And then somebody asks you later on, well, how many blue cars did you see? You probably wouldn't be aware of how many blue cars you had seen because you were focused on the red cars, right? So where your focus goes, energy flows. And that means essentially that when you have the clarity in your vision, and I'm going to touch on something in a minute that is for people who have a lack of clarity. So if you're somebody who has a hard time like actually getting clear, I'll address that in a minute. But the vision that you've got, or the pieces of it, start to look around and notice what is showing up in your experience. Like you may find you have, so say there's a desire that you want, right? And you may find you're getting 90% of your desire showing up, but it's not exact. The fact that you're getting 90% of what you're desiring showing up, you could look at it and you could say, well, that's unfortunate. Like this is the complaining card. So that's unfortunate. You know, it doesn't always work. I have to settle for what is because how I want things to occur, it's just not working, right? And you may be frustrated because you end up creating a lot of things that are almost what you want, but not exact. And so you almost have that full-on like fulfillment, but there's always something that's not completely right. Now, instead of complaining about that, it is good to focus on the positive aspects of it, okay? So see how in this card, it looks like there's like flowers, but also kind of light bulbs over top of the eyeballs, right? So it's like you have an opportunity to see what's growing and what's there and get the ideas from it and allow it to illuminate what else is possible. The fact that you have things showing up in your experience that are almost what you're looking for is sign, like it's almost like a sign of land. Like when you're drifting at sea and then you're heading towards your destination and you finally see land, right? It's like, wow. So this here, the things that are showing up, it's like first evidence of what you're manifesting. So it may not be exact, but you've got to appreciate what is there about it and allow yourself to really enjoy the fulfillment of those experiences, okay? Because the more that you do that, you're going to start to unblock the creative flow that you've got. Because it's like maybe there's something inside of you that you don't expect that you're going to get what you want, so you're not allowing yourself to really fully embrace your energy. And I'm getting sensual energy as well. It's like creating the world around you in a way that you want to feel. Okay, that brings me to the other thing that I was going to talk about with your vision. Okay, if you're someone who has a hard time maintaining a vision, right, and maybe you have like the clarity, but then it goes away, and then you've got clarity again and it goes away, and so your energy is very inconsistent, so your results end up being inconsistent. So for people like you, like if you're somebody who goes through that, and again, this is a general reading, so I'm going to be speaking to people who are able to have like a vision with detail, right, and who are able to maintain it, and I'm going to be speaking to people who have a hard time keeping and maintaining the same vision. Okay, so depending on which category you fit into, I'll be speaking with both of you. Okay, so with this, it's like if you can connect with the feelings that you want to have, or the values that are important to you, the things that feel right and feel good and spark your joy, and the curiosity and love and passion and everything good. Like if you can think of all of the good feelings that you want to feel, and again, I just listed a bunch of feelings, but you may have other ones that you want to feel. Maybe you want to feel calm and at peace, and maybe you want to feel beautiful or seductive or like energetic. So it doesn't really matter what kind of feelings it is that you're creating, but connect with the feeling of what you want to feel and allow the fact that your vision may be non-defined. That's totally fine, because some people are better with flow and they can go with the feeling, and other people are better with the like concrete visualization, if that makes any sense. Either way, whichever one is preferable for you, go with that. because how you manifest is going to be unique to you, but these things do work. And the more senses that you can incorporate, the better it's going to be. So if you're able to take the feeling and combine it with the visualization, right, it will get better, it will get stronger, the gaps will fill in, but you'll, instead of focusing on everything all at once, because that kind of makes your vision kind of go in and out, and that's kind of hard if you're judging yourself on what is and thinking that you can't manifest. I assure you, you can manifest, and everything that you're looking for is around you at this time. But connecting with that feeling and how you will connect with your vision the best is going to help you to be able to unblock the abundance that is there for you. Okay? Going to that, you've got, I can't tell stories of shortage and experience abundance. All right? This came up in another reading this week, and that was actually a really good one. So I don't know what it's called on my YouTube channel, but it was very, very clear going into what to do about this exactly. So if you are somebody who happens to go into lack consciousness, and it happens to everybody at some point, just know that you've got to shift your story. You literally have to change your story. But I get from this, this reading is kind of telling me that you need to find out what manifestation style is best for you, right? How you're going to create the money and the wealth and the abundance. But also when it's coming to stories of lack, it could be stories of lack about what you're capable of, or what you deserve, or how your team is, or how your family is, or anything else. Maybe it's your clothes or your car or something. But there's stories of lack where maybe other people have more. Maybe you think they have it easier than you. Maybe you've gone through some challenges that other people didn't have to go through, right? Regardless of what it is, being consciously aware of where your thoughts go, okay? Because there's telling the external story, you're speaking to somebody, or, maybe mumbling to yourself. There's also telling the story just inwardly, right? I'm a firm believer in acknowledging something exists and then letting it go. Because when we ignore the fact that we have this, sometimes it builds up and festers. But if you're able to acknowledge what it is that is in your thoughts, what it is that's the story you've been telling, and be able to acknowledge that that's not the truth, that's not real. It's just a story you have. The exact same situation could happen for two different people, and they will have a completely different perspective and story about it. So the story that you tell or you have in your mind, based on whatever you've gone through or whatever you've processed in your life, that story, you've got to look at them, each one of them, and just be like, is this the story I want for my future? If it's not the story you want for your future, you have an option. You can rewrite it, even if it's in the past, because again, looking at it with a different frame, a different perspective, and maybe you've gone through some really crazy, crappy stuff. And if you have, I'm sorry that you have, and at the same time, you have an opportunity to shift your perspective on it. And it's not always easy. I'm not downplaying what you've gone through. Not at all. Not at all. It is something that is good for your growth, okay? And it's not always easy. So if you need, get a coach or somebody to work through this, right? But regardless, think about the stories you'd rather be telling, and think about what it is you'd rather be having or doing in your life. And just get some clarity around how you want to feel. All right, let's see what else we've got for your cards. Yeah, and I'm excited for you because you get to play with the creative center and your creative energy, because when you start to get things back into alignment, things can shift quite quickly, and you will be very pleased. Okay. All right. We got 4 cards that came up from the Shadow Oracle deck, right? And we've got phobias, we've got overwhelm in inverse, we've got communication in inverse, and choices upright. Okay, let me just, Okay, so the good news is that you have quite a bit of clarity, like more than I would say 50% of the people at least. And it's like you already have gotten to the point where you know not to overwhelm yourself, and you've already gotten to the point where you know some things and some techniques to avoid burnout and to take care of yourself, and to, like, say that you do cross that line and you do find that you're, you know, maybe you take on too much or you become unwell or anything like that. You have tools and techniques and people that you can go to be able to help yourself out of the holes that you can get yourself into, I'm just going to say. But the challenge that you have is that you've got a feeling or a fear of like losing control. Okay, it's almost like you want to be able to maintain balance and maintain consistency and maintain frequency, and it's almost like, yeah, you don't want to let your emotions or your thoughts get in the way and disable or disarm what it is you're working on, right? I get from this that you've achieved some level of success, but often you've had things kind of pulled out from underneath you, or something's happened, things like that. But at the same time, you're blocking your own creative flow because of fears that you've, like, of things that you've gone through before, or new things that could come up. It's like almost like you've gone through so many things, and it's like, okay, well, maybe I've got to limit my flow so that I can maintain and manage everything in my life and all of my emotions and manage what manifests. Because maybe you've manifested some things that were really crappy, but you've also manifested some things that are really good, right? So there's a little bit of a fear of how you balance your own energy and how you communicate and interact with people regarding that. In fact, I get from this that you kind of hold back in your communication because you want to make sure that it's all aligned, and you want to make sure that you're not going to be causing yourself any challenges, or anybody else either. So these cards are completely, I'm pulling them out because here's another message I'm getting. So these cards, you've got the basically the creative center, and you've got communication, both of them in inverse, but they're also complementary colors. And what is happening is you're holding back your natural creativity and your natural curiosity and your natural drive and energy force to make things happen and to birth things into the world, right? You're holding it back, and that's blocking your flow of abundance. But you do have reasons for holding it back, and basically it's based on the inconsistencies that you've had in the past, on what you've created or manifested. Maybe you've had, and we started out with this being a money reading, so maybe it's like you've been able to get decent amounts of money and then not, and then have good money and then not, or maybe you aren't consistent with managing your finances yet, or things like that. So it's almost like you're afraid of allowing yourself to get big because you want to be able to manage everything when it's small. And this kind of control, it's not a bad thing what you're going through, it's just you're faced with choices. Like this card here says you cannot hear through the mind chatter and you're paralyzed by indecision. So sometimes you've got these contradictory thoughts that really keep you stuck. And yeah, so I'm gonna just pull a couple cards on what to do specifically about that. Like, I teach people what to do about this, so like I know, but I'm gonna ask Spirit what Spirit would have for you with this, and I'll let you know what the answer is. Okay, so what advice or guidance do you have to be able to overcome this back and forth and stuck energy? You got surrender to the divine in inverse, and the energy is gaining momentum in inverse. Okay, I'm going to show you these cards. So yeah, you were definitely, it's these ones, but they were both flipped upside down. So you're definitely holding back, like, in who you are. And the key really is that you need to let go of control. You're trying to control things too much, and the energy can't gain momentum. Like, it's almost like you're worried if it does, that you're gonna have things go fast and far and big, and maybe everything's gonna go, right? And that's a possibility. You might have things get really, really good and then fall apart. But we learn several ways we learn, but we learn by implementing, and we learn from mistakes. And often we, like, you know, the lesson continues until the lesson is learned. So the faster you get at learning the lessons, the better it's going to go for you. Okay. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend seeking a mentor. Okay. I have a mentor. His name's Dan Locke. I am privileged enough to work with him quite regularly. I'm very, very happy about that. But find a mentor that is aligned with you. Okay. Aligned with who you are and what you're doing. And you'll know because the person will get you. They'll kind of click with you. And you'll have a knowing that they're the right person for you, okay? So I get that you've tried to follow some people in the past, and maybe you have some mentors now, but you need somebody who really understands what you're going through and who also has the skills to help and the experience to help you know what to do next. Because you've got a lot of choices and a lot of opportunities, and the only person and the only thing that's getting in your way is you, and it's all based around your energy and the stories you tell, but it's based on these phobias you've got. And it's fearing losing control and fearing going so big, so far, so fast, or having the momentum pick up and then having things not be able to be manageable for yourself. And maybe you would lose, like, maybe you would work really hard and you'd get a lot of things going for you and then you'd lose everything, right? So there's this back and forth story that you tell, and the one really great thing going for you is that you know you're the creator of your experience. So I would highly recommend also connecting with the emotions and the things that you want to feel, right? If you feel like this uncertainty, you may want to feel the feeling of certainty, but you've got to create that and craft that within you and know that feeling, and then just visualize and focus on that feeling. And you can allow the images of what to do to come in to your mind, or you can also create the image and do it the other way around, right? So depending on how your manifestation style is or what works best for you, that would be what to do, okay? As for the skills and the technology and all of the specifics for what to do next, I would say, like, in my mind, I'm like, that's the easy part when you have yourself aligned. Right? You may think all that stuff's the hard part, but it's really not the hard part. It's that your alignment hasn't been there. If you need, I've got in the description box a link to the Ultimate Alignment Checklist, which is something you can download. And I've also got a link to a quiz to find out your authenticity archetype. And then from that, you'll find out what mask you wear, and we'll give you some advice on what you can do specifically for yourself to be able to be more aligned and more authentic and unblock your energy and your creativity to allow your abundance to flow. Okay, so that is what I have for you, and I hope you enjoyed this reading. Looking forward to seeing you in another one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.